Alright, algebra students, it's the last lesson of Unit 5 on parallel and perpendicular lines. So, last 2 pages of your booklet. Aren't you so excited? Alright, parallel and perpendicular lines. You might have heard of parallel before. Those are lines that never intersect. So we're going to put that in there. Lines that never intersect. Okay. So let's stick with the parallel lines for now. The ones that never intersect. Well, they're going to have the same slope. Okay, and you can kind of see it in that picture above there. They're going the same amounts, like up and to the right. Okay, so the slope is going to be the same. So let's take a look at some examples of that here. Write the equation of a line that is parallel to 3x minus 5. So let's first think about, well, what's our slope? That's our m. Okay, so if m is 3, well, for a parallel line, we want m to also be 3. So we want y equals 3x. And then you can put in anything you want for b. Change it so that it's not the same line. So we don't want to have minus 5, but you could have plus 5. Or you could have y equals 3x plus 1, or anything you want. And then last here, are these two lines parallel? So let's take a look at what we've got. We've got 1/3. That's our m right there. And then this other one, well, what is this one again? This is a point slope equation, but we still have our slope right there in front of us. So 1/3 and 1/4. Well, those are not the same, so no. And we could say that 1/3 is not equal to 1/4. What about perpendicular lines? So what are those guys? Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle. Or some of you might have heard that being a right angle. So looking at our picture here, we've got these two lines, and they intersect here at this 90-degree angle. So there's one of them that's marked there, but really all 4 of those are 90-degree angles. Okay? All the angles formed by perpendicular lines are 90 degrees. So their slopes, those are a little bit different. Those guys are going to have opposite reciprocal slopes. So opposite reciprocal. What does opposite mean? Well, opposite means we're switching between positive and negative, or if it's negative, you're going back to a positive. Reciprocal, that's where we flip the fraction. So if we have a over b, we're going to flip that and put the bottom number on the top number on the bottom. So you're switching that numerator and denominator. So let's write the equation of a line that's perpendicular to y equals 1/2 x plus 4. So there's our slope right there, 1/2. So m is equal to 1/2. But we want to change that this time. We don't want it to be the same. So we want to make it, let's first make it the opposite. So it's positive, so we need it negative now. And then 1/2, to flip that and do the reciprocal, would be 2 over 1. So basically our slope needs to be -2. So we just need a line, y equals -2x. And then again, we can change and do whatever we want for b. So we could have plus 3. Or you could have y equals -2x minus 10. Okay? Whatever you want, as long as the slope is the opposite reciprocal. Alright. Next page. What we're going to do on this page, just some more examples with using parallel and perpendicular lines. So this time we have to write the equation of a line that passes through 0, 1, 0, negative 1, and is parallel to the line y equals negative x plus 6. So let's think here. We know we want it to be parallel. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Here we go. So parallel. That means we want the same slope. So looking over here, okay, remember that's like a negative 1x. So our slope, m, is negative 1. So we want to have an equation where our slope is negative 1. So if you like to put negative 1, you can put it there. But we don't know what b is this time, because it doesn't necessarily go through 6 or anything like that, but we do know it goes through 0, 1. So just like we were doing with slope-intercept equations before, we're going to use those numbers as an x and a y value. So y is negative 1, and then negative 1 times x, well, 0 is our x, and then plus b. So really that whole thing goes away since x is 0, and negative 1 equals b. And if you noticed before, 0, negative 1, that was a y-intercept point. So if you caught that, good job. Otherwise, that's how you would do it with plugging in the point. So our final equation is going to be y equals negative x, or negative 1x, however you like, and then minus 1. And that's our line. Example 5, write the equation of a line that passes through 3, 3 and is parallel to y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Same idea. We want it parallel, so we want the same slope. So we're going to use 2/3. So we have y equals 2/3 x plus b. And we're going to use 3, 3 again as our x and a y value. So we've got 3 equals 2/3 times 3 plus b. And if you've noticed before, those 3's are going to cancel, which is going to leave us with 3 equals 2 plus b. So minus 2 from both sides here in order to solve for b. So 1 equals b. So then we can write our final equation, and we have y equals 2/3 x and then plus 1. Okay, example 6. This time we have a perpendicular line that we want to make, and it's going to pass through negative 1 to 4, so that's already going to be our x and our y, so go ahead and label that in. And it's perpendicular to this line where our slope is 1/5. So if our slope is 1/5 for the original line and it's perpendicular, we want the opposite reciprocal, so it's positive, which means we're going to make it negative. 5 is going to go on the top this time. 1's going to go on the bottom. Negative 5 over 1 is just going to be negative 5. So we've got y equals negative 5x plus b. And now we need to put in our points, or our point for x and y. So 4 is going to be equal to negative 5 times negative 1 plus b. So 4 is equal to negative times negative is going to go back to a positive plus b. So then we need to solve for b. So we need to subtract 5 from both sides. So we will get negative 1 equals b. Then we can write our final equation. So we would have y equals negative 5x and then minus 1. All right, last example here. Write the equation of a line that passes through 6, 2 and is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3x minus 9. So perpendicular again, which means we want the opposite reciprocal slope. So right now we've got m is negative 3. And remember, that would be like negative 3 over 1. So to change that to the opposite reciprocal, it's already negative, so opposite's going to be positive, and then we're going to flip it to 1 over 3. So then we've got y equals 1 over 3x plus b, and we're going to use 6, 2 as our x and a y. So 2 equals 1/3 times 2 plus b, or I'm sorry, needs to be a 6 inside there. 6 for x plus b. Then 1/3 of 6, well, if you do that in your calculator, if you can't think of it in your head, 1/3 of 6 is going to be 2 plus b. And then if we subtract 2 from both sides, we're going to get 0 for b. So our equation isn't even going to have the b in there, so it's just going to be y equals 1/3 x. And that would be it. All right, hopefully you enjoyed your lessons for this unit. Get going on that last assignment and then make sure you're ready to go for your quizzes. Good luck.